Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mariah and this is Woolen Words. Today I wanted to talk to you about everything I wish I knew before I learned how to crochet. I have a list of 5 things that I wish I knew before I learned how to crochet. These are things that as a beginner maybe no one really tells you, or things that I had no idea even existed. The number one thing that I wish I knew before I learned how to crochet might come out of left field, but it is calluses. It had never even occurred to me that I might get calluses from crocheting, but the more I do it and the more often I do it, or the more frequently I do it, I develop a callus in my thumb. Just like guitar players have calluses from pushing on the strings, when you hold your hook, depending on how you do it, if you do it enough, eventually you will form a tiny callus. Now, just to let you know, there is nothing wrong with developing calluses. They are just there from repeated friction on your skin, and it does not affect your ability to crochet, or it doesn't hurt or anything like that. Now, this to me came as a complete surprise because I was crocheting away for hours a day when I learned how to crochet, and all of a sudden I noticed a callus forming on my thumb, and I thought, what am I, marathon crocheting? This is crazy. I never even considered it. But it is a thing and it is totally fine, but you might develop some calluses from crocheting depending on how you crochet. Number 2 is that not all acrylic yarn is the same. Now, when you first start out, acrylic yarn is definitely the cheapest option for learning how to crochet and those beginner projects, and I still use acrylic yarn for some of my projects. It's great. But some are fuzzier than others, some are smooth, some are really rough in texture, and some are just completely out of left field. Like, you'd never think that it was acrylic if you didn't look. And this is neither good nor bad. This is just one of those things that because it is synthetic, they can make it into any form and shape and texture that they want to because it is man-made. It's probably even going to be a lot more varied than those natural fibers like alpaca or wool or mohair. But again, this is a more affordable option for all those different textures out there. So if you want a budget-friendly option, acrylic is definitely the way to go. And for certain projects, I like acrylic better, but not all acrylic yarn is going to be or feel or look the same as other acrylic yarns. Now on to number 3. Your tension will vary even after you learn how to crochet. The amount of amigurumi pieces I've had to redo because they all of a sudden don't match up, even though it's the same thing that I've literally already done, is amazing, astounding. But it happens. You are not a machine, you're a human being, and day to day, project to project, your tension will vary, and that is normal. Now, there are things you can do to combat this. You can get to know how your tension goes as a project goes, maybe adjust your hook size, or take a break that day, or any number of things. People will often talk about relaxing into a project. When you first start a project or when you first start crocheting for the day, you might be a little bit tighter, but as you continue on, you might find yourself crocheting with a looser tension once you get into the rhythm of the project that you're crocheting. But again, you are totally normal if your tension varies even after you're good at crocheting. Number 4 is I wish I had known how hard it is to crochet clothes. Making clothes in general is definitely a skill and takes a lot of practice. There's a lot that goes into it. But I figured once I learned how to crochet, I would follow a pattern and voila, I would have crocheted clothes that fit perfectly. I'm sure most of you experienced crocheters over there laughing with me because that is absolutely not how it goes. You definitely have to learn how to crochet clothes for each body that you are making clothes for. You have the drape of the fabric, the size that you're trying to make, the ease that you want, the fit that you want. It's a lot to keep track of and it's a lot to take into account, and just because a pattern says X, Y, and Z does not mean that it will come out exactly like that when you crochet it. And that is not the pattern's fault, that is not your fault, it is simply the difference between how the person who made the pattern crochets and how you specifically crochet. We're a little bit different, so things will turn out a little bit differently, and sometimes when it comes to clothing, that little bit of a difference makes a huge difference in the end result. And really the only solid advice that I have is to just trial and error it. Make sure you gauge swatch, try it out, and if you don't like it, remake it. Make it how you like it. But remaking the project will give you an opportunity to learn how you like the clothes to fit, how you can make the clothes to fit the way that you like, and how to adjust patterns whenever you come across them so that you can know in the future without having to make and remake every single project. And finally, we are at the fifth thing that I wish I knew before I learned how to crochet, and that is how accomplished I would feel every time I finish a project. It is so satisfying to see something that you've been working on finally come into fruition, and you have the full object in front of you in all of its glory, and you did it. You're responsible for making it happen, and that is so awesome. You should be so proud of yourself. And this is something that I was not expecting when I was first learning how to crochet, because when you're learning, it can be frustrating and having to redo everything that you're doing because you're learning how to do it and it's not coming out right. But once you start finishing projects, it is so much fun, and it is so exciting to see the fruits of your labor right there in front of you. That sense of accomplishment is just so fun, and I love that we get to share that as makers. And not only should you be proud of yourself, but everyone that you share it with should also be very, very proud of what you've made, because you made a whole thing out of yarn and a hook. It's magic. And overall, that is why we make things, to have a creative outlet, to enjoy ourselves, and to feel that sense of accomplishment of we made something. So what did you think of my list? Are there things that you wish you knew before you learned how to crochet? If so, leave them down in the comments below. Did you know these things before you learned how to crochet, or are these new to you? Let me know, because I would love to hear from you guys. And again, thank you so much for being here as always. I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more knitting and crochet and bookish things, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!